Right, that was Hillary Clinton, of course, speaking to her supporters. Linda, let me turn to you. Tell me about the message that we heard and will likely hear when the Democrats have their debate on Thursday.
You know what's actually interesting is that heading into this whole primary season, we had to think about whether or not Hillary Clinton was going to be coronated. And now you have her talking about, I'm going to fight for every vote. I don't take anything for granted. And I think that as we head into the next debate, she's going to have to really think about what she needs to say to connect with those young voters, to connect with all those people that she can't take for granted in South Carolina or Nevada. So how is she speaking to their issues?
Yeah. Steve, let me turn to you in New Hampshire. So how do you think, Steve, the results that we saw there in New Hampshire are going to affect the tone and tenor of the debate on Thursday between the Democrats?
Well, I think what you can hear a lot of is talk about income inequality and the economy. I mean, if you look at the exit poll, those were the top two issues. It wasn't about experience. It wasn't about terrorism and foreign policy. It was about income inequality and the economy. And on both of those issues, Sanders crushed Hillary Clinton. The other thing that's interesting here in this poll, by the way, I want to point out, there was a question that was asked in the exit poll, which one of these four candidate qualities mattered most in deciding how you vote today? Number one, with 34%, was honest and trustworthy. And 91% of those people who answered that question voted for Sanders. This is going to be a huge issue for Clinton moving forward. This may be, it's turning out to be one of the biggest weaknesses. We sort of knew this in polling leading all the way up to this moment in Iowa and New Hampshire. And it just seems like it's going to be dogging her as she goes forward. We've got the Nevada caucuses coming up on the 20th. We've got the South Carolina primary for the Democrats on February 27th. She's got to get to these places and turn this around and have some success in one of these places, or else it's just going to really start getting Democrats panicked. You know, this has been set up to be you know, the assumption that she's going to be the nominee. Superdelegates, endorsements. She's way ahead of Bernie Sanders on all this stuff. And if she continues to lose or continues to struggle because of honesty and trustworthy, or because Democrats don't buy her arguments on issues such as income inequality and the economy, then it's going to be big trouble for her moving forward.
Linda, let me ask you about the role emails play, you know, her difficulties that she's had. That issue has not gone away. And when you look at that honest and trustworthy number, how do you think those emails and the controversy that it's continuing now plays into that?
Well, I think the process around emails tells us that this is going to definitely come up again. I think what's interesting is that the honest and trustworthy piece is really just the other side of the coin of this theory, or this concept of authenticity. So whether or not people feel like they're getting the real you. So if I'm her and I'm thinking through what my next steps are, I would be very focused on ways that I can increase access to myself, make people feel like they're getting some of the real me.
Yeah, Steve, as a campaigner, Hillary Clinton, I know in conversations that we've had with Nancy Cordes, likes to get on the rope line. She likes to get up and shake people's hands. She said Bernie Sanders doesn't necessarily like to do that. He's not in the same way going to linger after a campaign event and make sure he shakes every single person's hand. But as we've even seen from tonight, we have video of Hillary Clinton doing just that after her speech to her supporters there, and really seeming to take time to ensure that she's connecting at that one-on-one level. Talk to me about some of their different styles of campaigning, and also what kind of challenges Hillary Clinton has to overcome as she moves forward here.
Well, if that's what they're pointing to as an advantage for her, it hasn't worked, obviously, in Iowa and New Hampshire, two places where retail politics is supposed to be an advantage. Clearly, Sanders' message is resonating more with voters right now, Democratic voters especially. So they're going to go to South Carolina, they're going to go to Nevada, two more single-day contests where she can work on this retail politics style that she's been working on, and hope that maybe that helps turn things around for her. But once you get past those two contests, you're talking about days where there are multiple state contests. You're not going to have a lot of time to linger, and it almost becomes mini national campaigns at that point. On March 1st on Super Tuesday, and then on the 8th and the 15th, you're dealing with less of retail politics and more of your message needs to be resonating. And right now, Sanders is hitting on all cylinders with his message, regardless of whether he's shaking hands after his events. It seems as if Democrats are buying his message more. And for her, she's dealing again with these distractions of emails and of her ties to Wall Street and honesty and trustworthy numbers. And her message is not landing right. And she's got to figure out how to fix that. If she doesn't, I think she's in for a long primary season here.
Leslie and Rick, so if you're a Republican and you're watching what's happened, you're seeing vulnerabilities here for Hillary Clinton in some of these numbers, right? We've seen that with the younger women voters, et cetera. Leslie, what are the lessons that Republicans are taking away from her performance?
Sure. I think you see a lot of the same patterns she had in 2008. She's going to rely a lot on the Nevada caucus and the Latino culinary unions in Nevada to kind of boost her back up again and give her a little bit of momentum going to South Carolina, where Bill Clinton is very popular. But the two main issues, her unfavorables, are so extraordinarily high, and she's not trustworthy. You've got that email scandal. It bodes very well for the fact that you have more than 50%, and certainly independents are going to fall into that are really concerned about this candidate. The thing is that you can repackage this as many times as you want to, but it's still ultimately the same candidate people have had 2 decades to get to know. So reshaping it and rebranding is a really difficult thing to do.
What do you see, Rick?
Tonight is kind of deja vu all over again for me. In 2000, we ran a McCain campaign that looked a lot like Bernie Sanders. We had this massive youth support. We were against the establishment. We were going to unlock the potential in Washington. And we were running against an entrenched incumbent family, the Bushes, right? And we won an upset victory, 19 points margin victory in New Hampshire, that night, so many years ago. And what happened in South Carolina was the most vicious attack in the history of politics against that train wreck called the McCain campaign. And it beat us. And I think one of the lessons that the Hillary Clinton campaign need to look at is it's time to go negative. She can't repackage her message. She's got to make Bernie Sanders less appealing than her. And there's only one way to do that. Go negative hard.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Our panelists tonight, CBSN political contributor and former John McCain campaign manager Rick Davis, Linda Tran, our CBSN political contributor and Democratic strategist, and Leslie Sanchez, CBSN political contributor and Republican strategist. Thank all of you so much for your insight and analysis tonight.